Hello everyone. Let's move on to the next topic of some basic principles and techniques. Estimation of carbon, hydrogen, and nitrogen we have seen. Now we will see the estimation of halogens. Halogens means chlorine, bromine, iodine. These are the halogens, and when it is present in the compound as chloride, bromide, iodide, we will estimate its presence and how much it is present in the compound, means its percentage. So the method used to estimate the presence of halogens is Carius method. In this method, uh, we just estimate the presence of chloride, bromide, and iodide in organic compounds. The principle for this method is actually the method is based on the fact that when an organic compound containing halogens such as chloride, bromide, or iodide is heated in a sealed tube, that tube is known as Carius tube. Okay, the organic compound which contains halogens, that is chloride, bromide, or iodide, when it is heated in a sealed tube with fuming nitric acid and in presence of excess of silver nitrate. Okay, three things are required here. Fuming nitric acid means concentrated nitric acid, the nitric acid which is rich in the oxides of nitrogen, and it should be concentrated. That is your nitric acid, silver nitrate crystals, and organic compounds which is containing halogen. This is required. Okay, from the mass of silver halide, when we will make this setup, the silver nitrate will react with the halogen which is present in the organic compound, and corresponding silver halide will be formed. Suppose your organic compound is containing chlorine, so the compound formed will be silver chloride. If bromide is there, silver bromide. If iodide is there, silver iodide. Collectively it is called as silver halide is formed, and the percentage of the halogen can be calculated by the formula. Now let's see how we have to do the process. What will be the procedure? In this, we have to take a glass tube, a long glass tube, 50 centimeter it should have its length, and 2 centimeter diameter is taken. This is when we purchase or when we collect the apparatus to do any experiment, we just keep it in our mind what should be the length, what should be the capacity. According to that only we select our apparatus and then we proceed our work. So 50 centimeter length, that much should be the length of the glass tube, and diameter should be 2 centimeter, and about 5 ml of fuming nitric acid and 2 to 2.5 gram of silver nitrate crystals are placed in it. You can see here, this is a big tube. In this, we have taken fuming nitric acid and silver nitrate, and a small amount of organic compound, very little amount, approximately 0.15 to zero point 0.2 gram. This much only is accurately weighed. There should be a balance by which we will weigh. This will, you will not get, you will always get a box, or suppose you have prepared your compound, you are going to test for the presence of halogen, you have to weigh this much only, 0.15. A very sophisticated instrument is there to measure it. You may have seen at the jeweler's shop, closed from all the four sides. One side we open, and there we keep our compound, and we cover it. Air volume also, air should also not enter that. Okay, so 0.15 to zero point 0.2 gram is accurately weighed in a small narrow weighing tube which is slipped into the Carius tube. You can see another tube is here. This will contain our organic compound, and this will be slipped in this big tube, that is also known as Carius tube. Okay, now the open end of the Carius tube is drawn out into a capillary and then sealed. Means it should be the breath will decrease and it will move on to a capillary, and when we will heat it, it will be sealed. So a sealed Carrier's tube is in front of us, which is containing fuming nitric acid and silver nitrate, and in the other tube it is containing a organic compound. Okay, the setup is ready. Now next what we have to do, the open end of it is now heated in an iron jacket of the furnace. Now this apparatus will be kept in a iron jacket. This is a furnace. This type of furnace is arranged, and the temperature of the furnace is gradually raised to 573 Kelvin. The heating is continued for about 6 hours, 6 to 7 hours. We have to keep on heating it. After heating it for so long, then we will cool the tube, and we will see, just we will, after heating it for 6 to 7 hours, we will cool this apparatus, and then we will just the capillary with the end of this tube, we will heat it. What will happen, the glass will melt, a small hole will be formed. From that hole the gases will escape out, and then after we will cut the upper part glass with the help of glass cutter. Small hole will be formed, and then after escaping out the gases, the capillary end of the tube is now cut off, and the contents are transferred into a beaker. Whatever thing is present here, we will now transfer it into a beaker. We will filter the content. Definitely if we are getting the silver halide, AgX, can be chloride, bromide, anything, AgX, this will be a colored precipitate, or white, if it is chloride, then silver chloride is white in color. So this precipitate, the whole content will be transferred in beaker. Then we will make a setup for filtration. We will filter the content. Then we have to wash the content. First of the thing, when we start washing, first we use the normal water to wash our compound, then we add little warm water to wash our compound. Before washing it with any solvent, we just first check it if it is soluble in that. If any compound is soluble in particular solvent, we will not use it for washing. So first with water, as you know that organic compounds are not soluble in water, they are mostly soluble in organic solvents only. So first with cold water, then with warm water, we will wash the content. We will then dry the content, and then we will weigh the content. Okay, after that we will transfer that solid dried compound into a crucible, a small bowl type of structure you will find in your laboratory, that is known as crucible, sintered crucible or Gooch crucible. Normally we call it crucible. We will transfer our content in the crucible, and then we will keep it in a properly in a desiccator, away from the any type of moisture. So the compound is ready. We have weighed how much content has been formed, how much organic substance we have taken, how much mass of the silver halide which has been formed, that we have to calculate. And after that we will go for the calculation for the percentage of chlorine. This will be the formula: 35.5 into X in and this 143.5 X is the weight. Though all the chloride, bromide and iodide compound is formed in a same way, but calculation will be different because of the different molecular mass of chloride, bromide, iodide and silver chloride, silver bromide, silver iodide. Okay, so this will be the formula for percentage of chlorine. 35.5 into X. X is your AgCl, mass of AgCl. 143.5 is the mass of AgCl into 100 by W. W will be the mass of the organic compound which we have taken. Okay, for percentage of bromine, 80 molecular mass of bromine. Silver bromide is your X, mass of silver bromide into 100 upon mass of the organic compound. Percent of iodine, 127 atomic mass of iodine. Mass of iodine, it is same. This is also mass of silver iodide and this is also the mass of silver iodide. Mass of substance taken into 100. By these formulas, we can calculate the presence of chloride, bromide or iodide in the organic compound. Now let's see the estimation of sulfur. Principle and method. A known mass of organic compound will be heated in the Carius tube with sodium peroxide or fuming nitric acid. Okay, what will happen? In the beginning of every estimation, you have to show that the carbon is being oxidized to carbon dioxide and water is being oxidized to, hydrogen is being oxidized to water respectively. Now the next turn is for sulfur. Sulfur is oxidized to sulfuric acid, which is then precipitated as barium sulfate. How? By adding excess of barium chloride solution. And this precipitate is now filtered, washed, dried and weighed. Okay. So next thing is the calculation part. For calculation, for the first we will note down all the datas which are given, how much the mass of barium sulfate, what is the mass of the organic compound, how much precipitate has been formed. We will do the prior work. After that we will proceed to a formula. For percentage of sulfur, the formula given is 32, that is sulfur, mass of sulfur, into mass of barium sulfate. Mass of barium sulfate by molar mass of barium sulfate, that is 233, into mass of organic compound into 100. With this formula, we will calculate the percentage of sulfur. Next is estimation of phosphorus. Actually, there are two methods for it. Let's see the first method. First, we have to take a known amount of organic compound. It will be heated with fuming nitric acid in a sealed Carius tube. Okay, whatever we are continuing the same thing. What will next I have to say? Carbon and hydrogen are being oxidized to carbon dioxide and water respectively. Now, the turn for phosphorus. Phosphorus present in the organic compound is oxidized to phosphoric acid. What is the formula of phosphoric acid? H3PO4. And further it is precipitated as ammonium phosphomolybdate. Here formula is given. Ammonium phosphomolybdate by adding ammonia and ammonium molybdate. Okay. Percentage of phosphorus, 31. What is this? This is the mass of phosphorus into mass of ammonium phosphomolybdate. Okay, the compound which is being formed, ammonium, mass of ammonium phosphomolybdate, that will come 1877 into mass of organic compound for percentage multiply by 100. By this, we can estimate the presence of phosphorus. This much is sufficient, need not to know the second method. If you will be curious, I'll tell you about it. Next is estimation of oxygen. Last estimation is estimation of oxygen. The method we perform here is known as Alois method. Usually the percentage of oxygen in an organic compound is not determined experimentally. It is calculated by the difference method. Means if we have estimated all the other elements present in the organic compound, we just minus it from 100 and the remaining percentage is that of oxygen. So we can calculate also, but as it is mentioned in your book, we will see the procedure also. So percentage of oxygen is equals to 100 minus percentage of all other elements in the organic compounds. Now let's see the principle which we apply to estimate the presence of oxygen, that is Alois method. In this, a known mass of organic compound is heated in a stream of nitrogen gas. You have to remember that we have to perform the check the presence or quantity of oxygen in presence of only nitrogen gas. If we will take the air already contains oxygen. So whenever oxygen, do remember the atmosphere should be of nitrogen gas. Now the mixture of gaseous products including oxygen is passed over red hot coke when all the oxygen is converted into carbon monoxide. All the oxygen will be converted into carbon monoxide, and then this mixture is passed through warm iodine pentaoxide. When carbon monoxide is oxidized to carbon dioxide, whereas iodine pentaoxide is reduced to iodine. Okay, this is your Alois method. For same, we will write the reactions just mentioned here. Now let's calculate the percentage of oxygen. Percentage of oxygen. Atomic mass of oxygen into mass of CO2. Mass of CO2 by 88. What is 88? 2 moles of CO2 are formed. So 2 into 44, this will give 88 into mass of organic compound into 100. By this formula, we can calculate the percentage of oxygen. So this was all about the estimation of organic compounds, estimation of carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, sulfur, halogen, phosphorus, oxygen. These are the only things which are present in any organic compound. So we have seen how we can detect and how we can estimate what is qualitative, what is quantitative. Okay, detection is your qualitative analysis and estimation is your quantitative analysis. So this was all about the estimation. Thank you so much. Be prepared for next topic and very important, organic reactions and their mechanism. This you can call as a backbone of organic chemistry. So with a fresh mind, come to listen about the organic reactions and their mechanism. It will be very good for you all if you will read the topic and then come to listen this fresh topic, organic reactions and their mechanism. This is very important topic. And for now, thank you so much. Let's meet in the other lecture.